Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star Part 252 based on novel. So let's start. Inside Luofeng's palace on Bohinia Island. Knowing that the ancestral god school was about to publicly bestow him a valuable, Luofeng stayed on Bohinia Island and waited patiently. Thunder Beast God is going to arrive here himself and bestow you a valuable. True Yang Knight stood up abruptly and opened his eyes wide. You're not kidding, you? How could I kid about this, teacher? Luofeng said. It'll happen soon. True Yang Knight stroked his hair and walked around the hall. He frowned and murmured, if one of the 8 beast gods actually arrives here himself and puts up such pageantry, he's at least going to give you a true treasure. But it doesn't feel right. Though the ancestral god school is the greatest superpower in the universe, it won't just throw away a true treasure randomly like that. What do you mean by throw away, teacher? Luofeng asked, smiling. Xuchong Emperor was bestowed with 2 true treasures. As for me, it's okay for me to get at least 1, right? True Yang Knight shook his head. You're not the same as Xuchong Emperor. Not the same, said Luofeng. Luofeng was dazed. He thought the power he manifested was at Xuchong Emperor's level. Besides, both of them were sub-members of the ancestral god school. What was the difference? Xuchong Emperor is a special life form, said True Yang Knight. He doesn't belong to any other power, and hence, he belongs to the ancestral god school completely. Whereas you are firstly a member of Hong Alliance, then a sub-member of the ancestral god school. Bark Mirror Emperor, who is admitted by the Northern Territory Alliance, was never given any true treasures by the ancestral god school. Luofeng suddenly understood. The ancestral god school is the greatest power in the universe, True Yang Knight went on. Though it doesn't fight for anything, it doesn't value the great beings of other powers as much as it does its own members. Bark Mirror Emperor is most loyal to the Northern Territory Alliance. You're most loyal to the Hong Alliance, the human race. Xuchong Emperor didn't join any other powers, so he is only loyal to ancestral god school. True Yang Knight looked at Luofeng. I've collected information on lots of exceptional heirs, and I found out that only those who are 100% loyal to the ancestral god school can receive the best. If one belongs to another power, he won't be treated the same as those who show complete loyalty. Luofeng nodded. It made perfect sense. If pressed to choose between the ancestral god school and the human race, there's no doubt that you'll stand with the humans, True Yang Knight said. That's why the ancestral god school won't grant you much, even if they want you to be part of them. However, they did invite Thunder Beast God to come personally. It would be insulting to him if he gave you a mere treasure. It's got to be a true treasure. True Yang Knight paused, then added, which baffles me. Luofeng nodded. He would stand with the human race without a doubt. As for the ancestral god school, he was indeed not faithful to it, even after knowing that they would bestow him a valuable. He stood in solidarity with the human race. For what it's worth, said True Yang Knight, looking at Luofeng, apparently, the ancestral god school highly values you. In light of that, they are willing to give you a valuable even knowing that you're with the humans. I understand. Luofeng nodded. Don't expect too much, True Yang Knight said. Although I think it'll be a true treasure, the ancestral god school surely won't be too generous. I'll just have to wait for it, Luofeng said. Luofeng looked at True Yang Knight and thought that if the valuable given by the ancestral god school was not useful to him, he would give it to teacher True Yang. Days passed, and Luofeng continued waiting on Bohinia Island. While he was waiting, Luofeng familiarized himself with the valuables he got from Bark Mirror Emperor. Inside the World Ring. Ha ha! The Northern Territory Alliance paid a huge price to rope Bark Mirror Emperor. Luofeng's original earthling body was wearing golden armor in a bizarre shape. It was covered with weird beast engravings, which did not belong to any one of the beast gods. It was the true treasure armor. As soon as Luofeng put it on, the information about the armor was sent to him instantly. The true treasure armor was named Golden King Armor, and it had 3 forms. The first form could weaken the power of a material attack to 1% of its original power. The second form could weaken the power of a material attack to 1/1000th of its original power. The third form could weaken the power of a material attack to 1/10,000th of its original power. If the armor couldn't withstand the attack, it wouldn't be able to effectively weaken the power of the attack, and if the attacking power was too strong, it wouldn't be able to weaken it at all. When the user was fighting a Universe Knight, even the third form of the armor could only weaken the attacking power by half. For Universe Masters, these ordinary true treasures were not useful at all. As for beings like Zwashanku, they could destroy an ordinary true treasure easily. Those Universe Masters don't care much about ordinary true treasures, but they are earnestly desired by Universe Knights. Luo Feng studied the ancient armor he wore. I'm yet to have the power to rival Universe Masters, so this golden armor is invaluable. Luo Feng exclaimed with thrill, no wonder they all want true treasures. He finally understood why Pei Feng Knight had only been injured when his remote ocean body exploded in front of him. He had relied on the true treasure armor in its pinnacle form. I wonder which armor is better, mine or Pei Feng Knight's, Luo Feng thought. Bark Mirror Emperor was wearing this golden armor. Fortunately, I have the true treasure star map, and I combined the power of 520 stars, which multiplied their power. Star map and the golden armor neutralized each other, and that was how Bark Mirror Emperor died. Luo Feng looked in the distance and saw a gigantic beast. It was the golden horned beast. I'll have the original Earthling body wear the golden armor, Luo Feng thought. And when I get the Force armor in the future, I'll have the golden horned beast wear it. The golden armor was different from Force armor. The golden armor only had defending power, yet the Force armor could derive soldier armor, general armor, and king armor, which meant Force armor had enormous godly power. In Luo Feng's plan, his original Earthling body followed the spiritual Force leader path, so he only needed the golden armor. Golden Horned Beast did close quarters combat, and hence Force armor could be fully utilized on the Golden Horned Beast. Luo Feng had acquired quite a few valuables from Bark Mirror Emperor, and two of them suited Luo Feng the best. One was Golden King armor, and the other was a set treasure called Swallowing Claws. This was comprised of 4 claw gloves that Bark Mirror Emperor had worn on his claws. Now, Golden Horned Beast wore the set treasure. When he utilized the set, the power of the 4 gloves would be transferred to 1, making its power surge. Bark Mirror Emperor had some other treasures, but they were useless to Luo Feng. The precious materials used to recover godly bodies were meaningless to Luo Feng, as he had the remote ocean. Luo Feng waited for the arrival of Thunder Beast God while familiarizing himself with the golden armor and the swallowing claws. 11 days after he received the email from the Ancestral God School, a terrific power arrived in the sky over Borhinia Island. The power was so strong that it was superior to that of the guarding beast god on Borhinia Island. The heirs flew out of their palaces. Thunder Beast God is arriving, True Yang Knight said, flying out immediately. Island Luo Feng's palace, Moshe body sat with his legs crossed, and the original Earthling body was still familiarizing himself with the golden armor. When the power arrived, Moshe body was thrilled. The original Earthling body flew out of the world ring. He finally came, said Luo Feng. He took a deep breath, stepped out of the door, and flew into the sky. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In the sky over Borhinia Island stood more than 100 million heirs. Luo Feng and True Yang Knight stood side by side with each other. Bolts of lightning filled the sky and covered 5-colored Aurora Lake. An enormous shadow was dimming in the lightning. This figure was the source of the power. A loud snort was heard. Power surged, and all the heirs in the sky dove down. Even Universe Knight heirs couldn't resist the force. Slowly, the enormous shadow flew down and showed its true face. He was covered with cyan hair, and each strand of hair looked like a whip of a thunder god. His 3 claws seemed to step on and suppress all of space, and his partially opened wing churned the lightning above him. His most striking features were his eyes. His eyes were like oceans. The eyes of thunder. Nobody dared exchange eye contact with him. Majestic, said Luo Feng. After only a glimpse, He felt that the terrific being in the sky was like a part of universe origin law. It said that becoming a beast god means merging with the law, but the guarding beast god is not as powerful as this. Will becoming an actual beast god change one's foundation? None of the heirs could resist the power. But it wasn't because of the sheer power, it was the arrival of the universe origin law. I am Thunder Beast God. His sound was like thunder, resounding across the entire Bohinia Island. One of the 8 beast gods? Blade River Emperor. Intangible power enveloped Luo Feng, and he rose into the sky. The heirs on the ground looked at Blade River Emperor in shock. Now, they all understood that the arrival of Thunder Beast God was for the human, Blade River Emperor. So, this is the control over space and time, thought Luo Feng. He sensed that the intangible power enveloping him was neither space nor time but a force that was superior to both. Blade River Emperor rose up gradually. At that moment, he was like the sun coming out, attracting attention from all the heirs. Thunder Beast God looked down with his eyes of thunder. His eyes glinted with friendliness, and the power enfolding Luo Feng vanished, dazing Luo Feng. Thunder Beast God opened his mouth and started to talk. Blade River, Thunder Beast God said. Luo Feng gave a salutation in the sky. Beast God, he said. Your power, your improvement, and your will all satisfy me, Thunder Beast God said. He looked down and concentrated on Luo Feng. I'll bestow you a valuable. Almost all the heirs down on the ground were thrilled and couldn't help talking among themselves. It's indeed a public bestowal. Thunder Beast God arrived here himself to bestow a valuable. It has to be a true treasure. Why else would Thunder Beast God be here? Blade River Emperor is so lucky that he's going to get a true treasure again. The heirs were all excited, and Thunder Beast God didn't stop their discussions. He was happy to see other heirs jealous. What's all the fuss about, said one heir. If you could kill Bark Mirror Emperor as an undying fighter, the ancestral god school would also think highly of you and bestow you with a valuable. Blade River Emperor is at the same level as Shuchong Emperor, who was given a valuable in public before. I'll train myself. Perhaps someday I can have the same treatment. Luo Feng couldn't hear the discussions on the ground. Neither did he want to hear them. He was looking forward to the true treasure with exhilaration. Thank you, Beast God. Luo Feng saluted him. Keep up your hard work. Thunder Beast God's voice rumbled. Meanwhile, a gigantic ball of lightning showed up in front of him. The ball had a diameter of tens of thousands of miles, and it flew toward Luo Feng like a meteor. The lightning vanished as the light ball dove down. When it dropped to Luo Feng, the lightning completely disappeared, leaving only an ancient mirror with a diameter of hundreds of miles. The mirror was round and golden, emitting golden light from its surface. It stopped moving directly in front of Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked at the giant mirror in front of him, perplexed. A mirror? Luo Feng blinked. I believe it will be of good use to you, Thunder Beast God said, looking down. Each of his eyes was larger than the mirror. Take it. Yes, Luo Feng answered respectfully. He stored the ancient mirror in his world ring. As for studying the valuable, Luo Feng decided to do it after the beast god departed. After all, beast gods were of high status in the ancestral god school. Thunder Beast God smiled and said, Don't disappoint me, Blade River. Thunder Beast God disappeared, and so did the intangible power. Everything on Bohinia Island was back to how it had been, and all the heirs on the ground were quickly engaged in heated discussions about what had just happened. Many heirs of other races rushed to try to talk to Luo Feng. Congratulations, Blade River Emperor. Congratulations on getting another true treasure, Blade River Emperor. Luo Feng smiled and went back to his palace immediately. He didn't want to talk to other great beings. This baffled them. What is that mirror-like valuable? Asked one heir as Luo Feng left. I don't know, replied another. I've seen some mirror-type true treasures used to aid illusion attacks. Blade River Emperor is proficient in spiritual force weapons. Why would the ancestral god school give him a valuable to aid illusion attacks? Don't make random assumptions. Perhaps only Blade River Emperor knows what it is used for. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Hustle and bustle filled Bohinia Island, and the news that Thunder Beast God had arrived on the island and personally bestowed Luophone with a valuable had quickly spread. At the same time, Northern Territory Alliance got the news. A white-haired, four-hoofed being walked into the area and said, "Ha ha. The ancestral God School has been using the same technique since the beginning of the universe." They immediately started to draw Blade River Emperor to their side after seeing how excellent he is. Woo! Payphone, did Bark Mirror Emperor come here before? Yes, teacher, Payphone Knight said as he followed him. Bark Mirror Emperor did come here before, and he stood on the square in front of my palace. When? The white-haired and four-hoofed being asked. 3 years ago, Payphone Knight answered. Okay. The white-haired and four-hoofed being walked slowly through the area and stopped on a square in front of a floating palace. Payphone Knight followed respectfully. Leave me first, as I'll turn back time, the white-haired and four-hoofed being said. Don't be in my range. Yes. Payphone Knight's eyes gleamed. Payphone Knight flew to a distant place like a beam of light and looked toward his teacher, full of expectations. Though he was a universe overlord, he had only witnessed universe masters performing the turning back time technique once before. Turning back time could injure universe masters, and if a universe master was severely injured, enemies could take advantage of the chance to kill him. This was why universe masters preferred to perform it in secret, unless they trusted the witnesses completely or the chance was small that it would backfire. Howl! 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 The white-haired and four-hoofed being growled and looked around calmly. Who? 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 The time in the space around him started to go backward. It was like a movie being rewound at a rapid rate. Many airs came here on the square, all the great beings were flying backward, even speaking backward. Time was quickly being turned backward. It all seemed like a strange illusion. So, time suddenly stopped, and so did the scenes before them. Bark Mirror Emperor was talking to Payphone Knight in the scene when time had paused. That's me. Payphone Knight said, looking at the paused scene from afar. It was Bark Mirror Emperor standing with him. Everything was illusory in the space and time affected by turning back time. Only the white-haired and four-hoofed being was real. Bark Mirror Emperor, said the white-haired and four-hoofed being, looking at Bark Mirror Emperor. Come, my child. The white-haired, four-hoofed being whispered, and an intangible power quickly put Bark Mirror Emperor under its protection. Go back. Everything started to be restored. It was like a coiled spring, at some point, it would spring back. The universe was able to recover itself, and after a universe master turned back time, the universe would reverse it. Every point in time was in the past for the universe and should not exist at present. The universe would bite back if someone tried to break this rule. Ah! Ah! Bark Mirror Emperor screamed. Ethereal power enveloped him continuously. The white-haired and four-hoofed being watched calmly. He was protecting Bark Mirror Emperor and transferring the backlash of the universe to himself. He was a universe master, and thus he was strong enough to resist such power. Ah! 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 Bark Mirror Emperor uttered heart-rending cries, overcome with agony. The universe kept biting back. The power could easily kill Bark Mirror Emperor. Reversing time and resurrection were against universe law, which would be punished by the universe. However, universe masters volunteered to bear such punishment. After a short while, everything was back to normal, but Bark Mirror Emperor now stood on the square, looking around in confusion. What happened? Asked Bark Mirror Emperor. Teacher. Payphone Knight said, flying toward Bark Mirror Emperor. The white-haired and four-hoofed creature nodded and looked at Bark Mirror Emperor. It's done, he said. Bark Mirror Emperor, you've been resurrected. Do not forget that you have died once. I have died once. Bark Mirror Emperor was dazed. Suddenly, all the memories flooded his mind. It was him. It was him. Blade River Emperor. Bark Mirror Emperor's eyes glinted with bitterness and madness. He quickly noticed that something wrong. My true treasures, where are my true treasures? The white-haired and four-hoofed being looked down at Bark Mirror Emperor and said, Bark Mirror Emperor, my job was only to protect you when I reserved the time. I won't bring a true treasure back. It would cost more than obtaining 10 more new true treasures. I'll only resurrect you. Those true treasures and ordinary treasures you had are all gone. After he was done, he disappeared. Payphone Knight gave a salutation. Thank you, teacher. Bark Mirror Emperor saw the giant, white-haired, four-hoofed being leave. He couldn't help looking at Payphone Knight and saying, Payphone Knight, why is Chi Lan Master less powerful? Do you even need to ask? Payphone Knight said, looking at him coldly. You're an undying special life form with the power of a universe knight. Resurrecting you is like resurrecting a senior universe knight. My teacher reserved the time to save you, and he bore the entirety of the backlash from the universe. Fortunately, my teacher is a top-tier universe master, which is how he's able to withstand it. Such backlash power could easily kill a universe overlord, and my teacher needed to resist it all by himself. If even you can sense the change in teacher's power, teacher was severely injured and will need quite a few valuables to recover. Bark Mirror Emperor was dazed. Actually, he had not known that universe overlords could only be revived by universe supreme masters. He only had the power of an ordinary universe knight, but he was undying. That meant reviving him was like reviving senior universe knights, and the universe bit back hard. Even universe masters were injured by it. Beings at Bark Mirror Emperor's level wouldn't easily notice it, yet he had this time, which meant Chi Lan Master's injuries were indeed serious. Payphone Knight looked at him and said, Northern Territory Alliance thinks highly of your potential, but reversing time to resurrect a great being costs a lot. The backlash power from the universe when resurrecting undying emperors is easily recoverable to universe masters, but resurrecting universe knights will take universe masters a long time to regain their health. You know the rule. This is a free revival. If you die next time, you'll bear all the costs for your resurrection, and it can't be afforded by ordinary universe knights. I understand, Bark Mirror Emperor said in a low voice, clenching his teeth. Remember, you've died once, Payphone Knight said. They were in Payphone Knight's palace, which was at the center of the Northern Territory Alliance, resembling the primal region of the human race. That was why Chi Lan Master had been able to resurrect Bark Mirror Emperor without concern. Blade River, Bark Mirror Emperor growled, grinding his teeth harder than ever. Just a tip, said Payphone Knight. His eyes glinted with disdain. Don't even think about revenge until you become a universe knight. Bark Mirror Emperor glanced at Payphone Knight fiercely. Blade River Emperor is as powerful as a senior universe knight, said Payphone Knight. Even I was injured by him. Do not seek out Blade River Emperor for the sake of vengeance. What? Bark Mirror Emperor opened his eyes wide in shock. Until you become a universe knight, you cannot even beat him, let alone kill him. Payphone Knight shook his head, took a step forward and returned to his palace. Bark Mirror Emperor stood on the square with his face twitching. Blade River. Blade River. Bark Mirror Emperor clenched his claws. His face twisted with rage. While Bark Mirror Emperor privately seethed, Bolhinia Island was a tumult of activity. The heirs were still discussing the arrival of Thunder Beast God. The heirs were all speculating what valuable Blade River Emperor had gotten. Inside Luophone's palace, Mosha Body sat with his legs crossed. His original Earthling body was already back in the World Ring, testing the new valuable. On the boundless plain was an ancient mirror with a diameter of hundreds of miles. Luophone stood in front of the mirror and pointed at it. Life imprint, seer. A trace of godly power flew toward it and merged with the mirror. The life imprint contained in the godly power was seared into the valuable. The mirror quickly shrank to the size of his palm. Meanwhile, information flooded Luophone's mind. It's called Golden Thread Aurora Mirror. Luophone looked at the mirror with a thrill. It's not a true treasure, but it's a top-tier treasure. Regardless, it's more precious than lots of ordinary treasures and would be the envy of any universe knight. Luo Feng immediately understood that the ancestral god school had bestowed him with the most suitable valuable. There were different categories of valuables, including attacking weapons, spiritual force weapons, defense armors, escape valuables, like wings, boots, and ribbons, sealing types, origin types, flying palace types, soul types, and domain types. Original true treasures were used to recover godly bodies. As for surviving, flying palace types and soul types were the most useful. Both of them could weaken material attacks or soul attacks by almost 100%. Sky Wolf Palace and Star Tower were both of the Flying Palace type. Another type of treasure that was the equal of Flying Palace type and Soul type was the Domain type. Thousand Treasures River and Five-Color Aurora Lake were both Domain type true treasures. Once they were utilized, they were able to control the area they touched. Within that particular area, the users could suppress enemies who were their equals, and they could bound the enemies who were superior to them, giving them the chance to flee. As for enemies who were weaker, true treasures like Thousand Treasure River and Five-Color Aurora Lake could easily kill them. Domain-type true treasures, although they were aids, were quite handy, to say the least. A domain-type top-tier treasure, Luo Feng said. He looked at the palm-sized mirror. Ancestral God School is indeed generous. I'll be able to control my own fate when fighting supreme beings and decide whether to battle or to flee. Golden Thread Aurora Mirror. Luo Feng burst into laughter. He opened his mouth, and Golden Thread Aurora Mirror shrank to the size of the head of a pin and flew into his mouth. It then merged with Luo Feng's chest and left a golden imprint. Drive? Luo Feng injected his godly power into Golden Thread Aurora Mirror. Golden thread suddenly emitted from Luo Feng and enveloped the area of 60 million square miles around Luo Feng. Inside the area were countless golden auroras scurrying around like fish. Luo Feng was the center of the area. This is my domain. Luo Feng looked around. Suppress? The golden threads gathered. It might have been able to annihilate an undying emperor easily. Godly power, burn. He drove the law domain again. The golden light pervaded this domain, and the law domain merged with the domain of Golden Thread Aurora Mirror. Ha ha! The ancestral God School is so considerate, said Luo Feng. They know that I became undying after completing Gold Law Comprehension, so they gave me a valuable of the Gold category. Luo Feng found out that Golden Thread Aurora Mirror's power surged after Gold Law Domain overlapped Golden Thread Aurora Domain. So powerful. Luo Feng said. He suddenly felt like he could kill an ordinary universe knight when driving the golden threads with his godly power. With such a treasure, even if I meet with supreme beings, I can bind them first and run away. If I want to fight, I'll just let remote ocean body approach my enemies and self-destruct. My enemies will be trapped in Golden Thread Aurora Domain, and they'll be so suppressed that they can't even run away. Luo Feng was overjoyed. This Golden Thread Aurora Mirror was rarer and more precious than ordinary true treasures. Besides, to great beings, the compatibility of valuables was much more important than the quantity. Apparently, this Golden Thread Aurora Mirror could help Luo Feng's power move one step forward. It amazed Luo Feng to realize how thoughtful the Ancestral God School had been to give him this valuable. Ancestral God School, I am first and foremost of the human race, thought Luo Feng. But I'll be grateful to you for bestowing me with this valuable. After receiving the Golden Thread Aurora Mirror, Luo Feng studied it every day and tried to combine it with his other true treasures. He pondered the best way to fight. The door of Luo Feng's palace on Bohinia Island was fiercely knocked on. Blade River, open the door. Blade River. Someone was shouting outside eagerly. Luo Feng, dressed in black, waved his hand and opened the door, saying, "Come in." Without Luo Feng's permission, even his friends wouldn't dare trespass in his palace within range of the Five-Color Aurora Lake. Luo Feng saw Cha Man Emperor, Li Li Emperor, and Thousand Rain Emperor rushing in. What happened? What's got you so worried? Luo Feng smiled. I've never seen you guys like this in all the time we have known each other. It was Moshe Body who greeted them, and he had different auras from the original Earthling body. After all, Moshe body only performed his talent technique, replicate, to replicate the aura of the original Earthling body. Which was why Cha Man Emperor, Li Emperor, and Thousand Rain Emperor didn't notice it. Luo Feng, Cha Man Emperor said. Something has happened. Something really bad, Li Emperor added. Blade River, said Thousand Rain Emperor, you're in big trouble this time. Luo Feng frowned. What's the issue? Don't worry, just speak slowly. You didn't go to the world of glory, did you? Cha Man Emperor said. That's why you don't know yet. Don't know what? Luo Feng frowned. I've been in my palace these past few days. He had devoted his time to joyfully studying his new Golden Thread Aurora domain. Besides, he was waiting for the Supreme Council meeting of the human race. Why would he go to the world of glory? If he did, he would just be surrounded and assailed with questions. Just tell me, what happened? Luo Feng pressed them. Li Emperor and Cha Man Emperor opened their mouths almost at the same time. You just... Luo Feng couldn't help but cut in. Li Emperor, he said. Tell me what happened. This video will end here.